this computer. Okay. Good evening from Miami Palmetto Senior High School. My name is Harry Nierenberg. I'm the college counselor at Miami Palmetto Senior High School, and I am sitting here with the experts of the college admission process for Miami Palmetto Senior High. I'm also joined by our interventionist, Ms. Linda Dwyer, and together we're going to host a panel where we can possibly help some juniors who are going to their senior year and give them some reassurance. This also has another multi-purpose function that we started 8 years ago. One of the purposes of this program is to let you know what we think of Miami Palmetto Senior High School. We are proud Panthers, and we are looking forward to watching this group of people along with the other 550 students who are graduating this week and seeing where they're going and what they're going to do with their lives. We had a great year. 200 students got bright futures. We had a success rate within our own state school system of over 40% at University of Florida, 45% at Florida State. At FIU, I can't even know the percentage because we had so many kids accepted to FIU. And University of Miami, we had 46% accepted there. Our students are going all over the country, all over the world. We've got students going to Canada and Europe. Hopefully, if everything else in the world is calming down, they will get to go there. I am going to add a little nuance to this program. We're not going to talk about the COVID crisis. The one thing these guys are not experts is on the future. They only can talk about what the past has been for them. Their future still is in limbo. We don't know what's going to be happening in 2 months, and I can see the anxious faces on them right now as I say those words. Whether or not they're going to get a chance to go experience freshman year. And the other thing they're not going to be able to give you a lot of hints on, which we usually talk a lot about, are the SAT and the ACTs, because as we're speaking, colleges are making it test optional as we're going on. So for the juniors, they're going to give you a lot of insight on the application process, and we're going to see where the conversation goes. Ms. Dwyer, did I forget anything?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So we're going to start off and let you know where these fantastic experts are going to be going, where they were accepted to last year. And I want to throw a question at them, which might embarrass a couple of our present teachers, but who knows, they probably won't watch this anyway. But what was your most challenging class? What was the most challenging thing you had, besides the virus, COVID virus and leaving in March? But what was the most challenging part of the academic program and the social program at Palmetto Senior High? So Jake, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Hi guys, my name's Jake Zimmelman. I'm going to Stanford University. I was accepted to Columbia, Duke, Johns Hopkins, UNC, USC, UCLA, UF, Berkeley, Vanderbilt, and Michigan, and UM and Northwestern. And I think that often I find that the most challenging class for me is very different from the one that I spend the most time on, which is also very different from the one that's the hardest to get an A in. But I would say that the hardest one in terms of the course material would be AP Chemistry. And I think the one that I spent the most amount of time working on would be AP World History. And I think the one that was the hardest to get an A in was AP English Language. I see other people seem to agree. So I think that was it, right? That was all the questions?
That's all.
All right, thank you.
Mariano, why don't you go next? Because yours is a little different story.
Hey guys, I'm Mariano Gama. I will be attending Syracuse University on the Policy Scholarship. And then I got accepted into FIU, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, University of San Francisco, University of Colorado Boulder, Wake Forest University, and I'm missing one, and Purdue University. I took 7 APs. Yeah, that was one of the questions, right?
Could be.
Okay. And then the hardest AP I took was AP Macroeconomics. and it was not the material. It was just, it's a very different course from all the courses you take at Palmetto, it has a different dynamic to it. It's a very interesting dynamic, but because it's closer to what the college level course is, but it's not as guided to you with the material as other teachers would. He gives you the material and you have to learn it, and then he explains it to you, which is a very different course from all the courses you've taken.
Okay, Emily, how about you?
Hi, so I'm Emily. I'm going to the University of Michigan. I was accepted to Syracuse, Rutgers, Oberlin, Denison, Louisiana State, Florida State, George Washington, Elon, University of Wisconsin, and then Michigan. And for me, the hardest AP or just class in general that I took was AP Chem, because I took it my sophomore year. So like I had done pretty well in pre-AP, and I thought it was going to be like a really easy, not easy, but like fun time, and then I was ready for it, and it was not what I expected at all. So it really prepped me for like the rest of my high school experience. It was really hard.
Okay, and I'm going to do a little bragging. I go through that. Mariano mentioned he was a posse finalist. He won, and he's going to Syracuse. Emily was also a posse finalist. She didn't win, but some of those schools that she got were posse access schools, and she was honorable mention on the Silver Knights, and so was Jake. I'm sorry, Jake, for forgetting that. So I just wanted to make sure I commented on the accolades that we got. Gracie, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Gracie Paredes, and I will be attending Northwestern University. Some of the schools that I was accepted to was Barnard College, Southern Methodist University, and Boston College. And I'm basically repeating what everyone else has said, but my hardest class was definitely AP Chem. I've always considered myself a pretty sciencey person, but that class was just a complete change. And it was definitely like my most difficult science class to date. That said, I think it's been so helpful with teaching me like new learning skills, specifically in like the science field. And I've taken that into like other AP science classes, and it's definitely helped me grow. So yeah.
Fantastic. Ethan, how about you?
Sure. Hi, my name is Ethan Russo. So I'm going to New York University. Some of the other schools I was accepted to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're going to NYU where?
Tisch.
Thank you.
Yes. I auditioned for NYU Tisch. I also auditioned and was accepted to Syracuse, Elon, and Baldwin Wallace University. I kind of stayed off much of the AP track throughout high school. I didn't take too many APs because I was focused more on drama and my passion and kind of, getting better at that. But my most difficult one was definitely AP Environmental Science. It was not easy, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Alana.
Hi, my name is Alana Kirsch. I will be attending Boston University in the fall. I was also accepted to George Washington University, American University, and DePaul University. I think my hardest class has got to be twofold. Like many other people, AP Chem sophomore year was a rough time. We all came through it together, though. I think it definitely bonded a lot of us on this call right now. But I definitely I had a lot of mental exhaustion from AP US history, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. So I think that's my answer.
Thank you. And Nick?
Hi, my name's Nick Marini. I'm going to FSU in the fall. I also got accepted into Indiana, UF, UCF, Penn State, Tulane, and University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I think for me, in terms of like difficulty, it's, I think, almost near impossible without spending all of your waking moments getting an A in AP US history without getting a grade bump. Those quizzes are just impossible.
So you're giving that one. So, okay, so we're taking Dr. Sharp off the table for a little bit. Nia, how would you like to go next?
Hi, my name is Nia Hunt. I am attending Georgia State in the fall. I got accepted into 7 universities: Syracuse University, Lynn University, Florida State University, University of Miami, Spelman College, Syracuse University, and Penn State.
And you are?
I'm attending GSU.
I know. Okay.
Oh, I am a posse finalist.
Thank you. Just want to
Yes.
make sure we give you that recognition.
I think my hardest class would probably, well, I can't say that one was harder than the other, but taking both AP Chem and AP Lang at the exact time were definitely a difficult choice.
Okay, thank you. Gabriella Conde.
Hi, I'm Gabby Conde. I'll be attending Vanderbilt in the fall. I applied ED, so I didn't really have to apply anywhere else. I got into FIU. I'd say that the most challenging class that I took was AP World, because that was 9th grade and learning how to study and like to transition from middle school. So after that, you learn how to study and you learn new methods at work. So I think that was the most challenging course.
Thank you. Gina, who is listed here as a Sebastian Cardozo, in case anybody gets confused.
Hi, I'm Gina Ortiz. I'll be attending FIU, and the schools I got accepted into were Florida State University, Florida Gulf Coast, UCF, and UNF. I believe from all those schools except for one, I got accepted into their honors program. And the hardest AP for me was Euro. I think in general with all the APs, there's not necessarily like a harder or easy. It's more like the person and how much work you actually put into it. But Euro for me, like my APs were more based on history. So Euro was more of like, I think more of the dates and stuff and just memorization. Like I'm not as good as memorization, I'm better at understanding things. Yeah.
Thank you. And you are going to where again?
FIU.
FIU what?
Their honors program.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody knows. Okay. If you guys can't brag, I'm going to brag for you, okay? Vincent, how about you?
So, my name is Vincent. I am going to be attending Duke University in this fall. And the places I got into, well, some of them were UC Berkeley Eaks, UCLA, Georgia Tech, UF, UMiami, and yeah, Purdue. That was it.
Okay. And who is your toughest and most challenging class?
The most challenging class I've probably had was AP Euro, because I have never really had problem with like getting A's on tests, but the sheer workload that you have to do in AP Euro was definitely the biggest challenge I've had to do in high school, particularly for my work ethic. So.
Okay. Allison Stracius.
Hi, I'm Allison Stracius. I am also going to Michigan. I also got into FSU, Miami, and UF. And unlike everyone else, I didn't take chem. My hardest was Calc AB, and Tuttle's great, but math is not my strong suit. So that was my hardest for sure. She's great. I love her.
We'll make sure she sees this. Mackenzie.
I had a feeling I was going to go after Allison.
You're not last.
Feeling, you know. So hi, I'm Mackenzie Farkas. I'm going to the University of Florida. I got into Penn State, Brandeis, FSU, and UF. My hardest class, I would say, was Sharp. I took it, which is AP Chemistry. I took it sophomore year, and to this day, I will forever say I don't think I was mature enough for that class. And yes, I do think it bonded us. Like Emily and Alana, like we had to stick that out. That was a tough one, but I definitely think she did prepare me. I learned a lot of lessons. I love her forever. She's amazing. But definitely I don't think I was mature enough for that class, which made it tough.
Thank you. And I think I got everybody but Mr. Fine. Daniel, you're up.
Yeah, and I think Lindsay.
Wait, I'm sorry. Sorry. This is hard for me, guys. You guys keep moving, so we're going to keep going. Sorry, so you two can wind it up.
All right. My name is Daniel Fine. I'm attending Harvard University in the fall, where I applied restrictive early action. I also got into Vanderbilt, Berkeley, UF, FSU. And the most challenging content in any class, I think, was Physics C, but it was also really rewarding, and it made me really like the subject and consider majoring in it even. And then I agree with Jake that the hardest workload was definitely AP World History, but it was really a trial by fire and really like prepared me for the rest of high school.
And if I can toot your horn one time, what did you get at Vanderbilt? There was something there?
Cornelius Vanderbilt Scholarship.
Okay, just like, yeah, if I could toot a horn, my memory's working. Lindsay, looks like you're up.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Lindsay Yang, and I'll be attending Columbia University in the fall. I was also accepted to Rochester Institute of Technology, UF, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Duke, and University of Miami. For me, I think my hardest AP classes were AP Physics C, in particular mechanics, and AP Music Theory. AP Physics C just involves a lot of self-study, and I'm not very good at mechanics in general. For some reason, electricity and magnetism was easier for me, so that was the more difficult portion of the class. And as for AP Music Theory, it's just a very different skill set. Like, the content itself is not difficult to like learn the vocab, it's not hard to memorize, but listening and being able to dictate and things like that, it was just very different for me, but it was definitely very rewarding in the end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to full screen, and I'm going to get a look at you guys. And I'm going to ask a couple questions, and then if you guys just want to, don't step on each other, and we'll try and go with some answers. Here's some questions, and I just want you just to sound them off. When did you realize you wanted to go to a competitive college or a selective college? Are you personally competitive? And what do you think that makes you different than other students? And just like two or three of you answer that question. So somebody, go Lindsay, you jump in.
Yes, I can start. I am Asian, so the names of like top colleges and universities have been kind of tossed around in my household since I was little. But I think when I realized I decided I wanted to go to a highly selective university was when I was writing my English research paper in 10th grade, where we had to research our dream college. It changed, but it really opened up my eyes to the opportunities offered by these highly selective universities. I am competitive, will not deny that, but I think that I'm more so competitive with myself than with other people around me. Like, yes, I definitely pay attention to other people around me, and I try to like be competitive with them, but I'm always trying to better myself for myself and not just so other people can see me as better than them.
Thank you. Someone else want to jump in on that one? Go ahead, Daniel.
I think I'm pretty competitive, especially I have a high achieving brother who I've always like looked up to and tried to compete with. But I think the question about how I'm different spoke to me, because I see like a lot of people here have like passions and things that they're really interested in, and everyone's always talking about how you have to have a passion and you have to have a passion. But I think that yes, I've always been interested in science and math, but I tried doing research and I didn't really love it. And I tried doing all these competitions and I liked them, but I didn't love them. So I think that it's important as a younger person, when you feel intimidated by having to find a passion, I think it's important to know that a passion could just be something that you do a lot and you get good at and you feel comfortable doing. It doesn't have to be something that you fall in love with instantly. And just when you craft your application, you can reflect on everything you've done and kind of piece together a whole person that seems like they have interests and good motives. And I don't think you have to necessarily fall in love with something in high school.
Vincent, did I see your hand? Unmute. There we go.
No, you did not.
Oh, okay. Just trying to read your mind. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, so what makes me different from other applicants? So to be quite honest, there's not much differentiating me from other Asian males who play violin and are good at math. But I think that what really differentiates me from like a lot of other applicants is just that I really enjoyed what I did, like in terms of the math aspect of it, at least. I know that certain people, didn't really find their passion, but I did, and I think that was a good thing that set me apart.
Interesting. Gabby Conde, you went ED Vanderbilt, which is a very competitive school. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I actually I haven't visited Vanderbilt. I was supposed to fly out, but then Corona. But I did ED, which is like binding, which means that you don't apply anywhere else, like until after you find out. If you don't get ED, you can apply other places, but it's binding. Like if you get in, then you go. So I did that because that I wanted to go there, and they have a very good financial aid also. So I thought that was a perfect fit. And deadlines I applied earlier. I actually applied the day of the deadline because I wasn't sure if I should do it, if it was like fit for me. But then I had all my friends like supporting me, like, Gabby, you have to do it. And so then I decided that I would apply, and it ended up being the best decision because I got in. And so with ED, I think it's a really good fit if you know for sure that you want to go to that school and that you have your mind set on it. If not, then it doesn't really, like, it does, for some schools, it gives you like a higher chance like of getting in, but it's just, if you know for sure that like you would be fine going there, or that you'd be so happy going there, then ED is like what's.
Okay. And then the financial part had a big part to play with that too. Okay. Anybody else have any insight before we go to another level questions? Go ahead, Mariano.
So going back to the question about what makes you unique, I really needed to, because I had a lot of extracurriculars. My academics were okay. They were not the best. I'm a little competitive, but my giving history and I didn't have a competitive GPA as others. So I needed to highlight something that was very unique to me, which is my personality. And the way I did that was through my essay. And I thought my story was important to tell, and how I got to the place where I was in my senior year, which was with all these extracurriculars and taking these challenging classes and making connections around with my personality. So I think the best way for me to show my unique personality was through my essay and telling the story I had to tell.
Okay. Anybody else anyone pop in before I go on? Okay. It's a little different. See, if we were in the auditorium, everybody who's watching this on YouTube, the microphone would be being passed back and forth and they'd be fighting for it. But because this is awkward Zoom, we're going to have a little bit of an issue with that. So guys, don't be afraid to jump in. All right. So we talked about early decisions and early action. And how many of you actually just waited till the January 1st deadline? Did anybody wait at all? Okay. Everybody went November 1 deadlines. Did anybody else do ED and may want to talk about an unsuccessful thing, or I know Ryan went ED. Jake, do you mind talking about that, or is that a hurtful subject?
No.
Not now.
No, I mean, no, I'm happy, but yeah, so I didn't know really what I wanted at the beginning of the college process. I guess that's why I applied to so many schools, because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I figured I'll figure it out once I get in. And at first, I figured that Harvard would be a good place for me for a whole lot of different reasons. So I applied early and I got deferred, which I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm fine with that. And then I waited, and then I also got waitlisted. So it's kind of been like I'm cool with it. I think if you put all of your hope into getting into the school that you apply early to, because it might give you better odds, then that's a really terrible outlook to have, because then you're gonna crush your dreams if you don't get in. But I don't think that not getting in somewhere early should be it shouldn't force you to think poorly about the process moving forward. It's more about what you can do with the situation that you're in.
Okay, so at the end of this program, I'm going to ask you to tell yourself, the 9th grade self, something. I want you to tell yourself something back in October that would have made you feel better. Now I want you to wait a little bit, okay? But I want you to think about that one. Anybody else want to put any input about this?
I think because Jake said that, I'm obligated to say that I was actually looking at Stanford, and I thought that Stanford was a better fit for me initially. And I was debating applying early, but I thought that because my brother went to Harvard, I would have a slightly better chance there. And now, after applying regular to Stanford, I'm still sitting on the wait list. But I don't think I'm switching. I'm happy with Harvard.
You're not making any decisions tonight, right? Okay. Anybody else before we go on? Anybody's dream? Oh, go, Mackenzie.
I just want to add that just through, like, I know, like, the EDUs would be like, I love this school, like, my heart is set. I went in with the mentality kind of like, it's to sound super weird, but I was kind of like letting fate do its thing, sort of, because I knew that well, this is super weird, but like I've seen firsthand how ED can cause heartbreak, and I've seen how it was. So what I wanted to do is go in with an open mind and really think, just like, it'll be what it'll be,
Lana?
I did not take that advice personally. I think one of the best things I did throughout the college process was fall in love with a lot of schools. People tell you not to fall in love with a school, but I think it's okay if you fall in love with a lot of schools. You keep your options open, But I applied early decision, and I got rejected in December, and it was devastating. It was hard for me to continue my applications, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the best thing that I could have told myself then was that you are going to end up being so happy wherever you go that, like, it doesn't matter where you go to school. At the end of the day, it's what you do with it, and it's the opportunities that you take. So why put so much stock into a name,
Hey, I've been telling you guys that since junior year, so you're not getting any argument from me. Did anybody know exactly where they wanted to go when they went? I'm just curious, did anybody get their dream come true?
I can talk about
Gab.
that.
Go ahead.
You can follow me.
Can you just mention it? Dream come true. What's that like?
I mean, I got off the wait list for Michigan. So for a while I thought, it's not going to work out. It's not for me. But now I'm going, and I don't think it's hit me yet. It's still kind of weird. But it's exciting. Yeah.
Do you mind telling a little secret about that? Only because people always ask about the foreign language thing.
Get your foreign language done. I should have finished it earlier, but we did it. Okay.
Can I tell your secret? Am I allowed?
I mean, if you want.
You can come toilet paper my house later if you want.
Okay.
The minute she finished the next year of language, they took her off the wait list within minutes. So it was very interesting. And people always say, how important is that extra year of foreign language? It is important. And obviously we found out through this lesson, it was super important.
Yeah. Do it early. Don't do what I did because you hate FLVS. It's not that bad.
First year of language, second, like, what are you talking about?
I mean, it depends. A lot of people, I didn't do a third year. I only did 2 years, which, sometimes they recommend do the full 3, but I came from a small private school. I didn't have any credits that transferred for that. So I kind of just stuck it with 2 and, left it at that.
And what we found out because of that, as I started, after this situation happened, I found out the state schools really do want that foreign language completed earlier, and the private schools want 3 and 4 years. They really do. And if we I think if we went through everybody, we're not going to do it. We would find that was true. But because the state schools have certain requirements, but it did matter, the fact that it wasn't finished. Sorry to embarrass you like that. But
it's fine. I'd rather people know that, it's just.
That's the whole idea. So all of you, I will say, stand out in your own way. Was it deliberate?
Can I say something?
Sure, just raise your hand and I'll call. Yeah.
Sure. I think that there's a lot of things that you can do to advertise yourself. I think people who who got into colleges that are sometimes difficult to get into, they do it because they learned what's the best way to show who I am to a certain college. I wouldn't say that there was anything I did with the mindset, oh God, like colleges are gonna love this. You know, I think you should really go into high school and do what you're passionate about before you do, oh my God, I think a college is gonna like if I tell them that I did this, and then do it. So I think you can, like, for example, I don't think you should do a community service project because you think a college is gonna like it, you know.
Great. Nee, I saw your hand go up.
For me, I think it really was deliberate because a lot of the people, or the people in my family and the people around me that I surround myself with, have these great things like their gold awards from Girl Scouts, or astronaut summer camps that they went to, or something like that. But like for me, the most that I did was I joined a college team, and that was kind of a far reach for me because I wasn't expecting it. So doing things like that and pushing myself to always go for the positions that I wanted or the things that I needed to do was like something that I felt was necessary for me to put on my applications and to actually go for.
Very nice. And what did you do deliberate, by the way? To explain that, because I know what you're talking about, but I don't think anybody else knows.
So one of the things that I did deliberate was joining a college team. Not many high schoolers actually get the opportunity to join a sport like color guard like I did, which is part of the marching band. I was not expecting to join because I didn't think any high schoolers made the team, but actually a few of us were handpicked over college students that had been doing it for many years to actually join the team and spend with the marching band for the entire marching season. Even got to go on free traveling trips anytime that the marching band had to perform. So I felt like that was something that was really pushing for me and very like invigorating and definitely different from the average person that many people would be surrounded with.
Thank you. Okay. So, you know, I was going to go to essay. Go ahead, Daniel. I'm sorry, because I went to main screen. I couldn't see. Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to what Jake said. Like, some direct advice I have for juniors is to write down like all your strengths, interests, and motivations on a piece of paper, and just find out how to convey that throughout every application, because every school has different sets of essays, and different essays are better suited to different strengths of yours. So if you can find a way to convey your entire self to every college, like individually with their essay format, it's pretty useful.
Right. Nick.
This really kind of, I was going to say this before, but after what Daniel said, it's more relevant. For me, I think there was a lot of things I did deliberately. Like I did marching band and band for all 4 years. And especially the last 2 years, I really got kind of burnt out with it. But I really just continued it because, well, one, my mom can be a bit much sometimes, but also it did look, I guarantee it looked well, like on college applications, but also music kind of was my entire application, which was what Daniel said, which was find something and have that really show in all of your parts. Like all my community service was music based, my officer positions were music based, my extracurriculars were music based. So my essay was about music, my supplementals were about music, and everything was about music.
Anybody else? Go, Lindsay, and then Mackenzie, and then Grace.
I just want to say something to like go off what Jake originally said. He said that a lot of his stuff, he started out just because he liked it, and then it grew into something that he could write about on his college application. I think that really applies to, especially for the younger students who might not have like extensive community service projects or club positions or anything. Just start out by finding something that you like to do. Like join a club because you think it sounds cool. And then it could definitely blossom into some sort of passion that you can definitely write about on your college essays. Like when I came to high school, I didn't think I was going to do extensive research or anything. But then when I joined SNHS, MAL, those kinds of opportunities showed me what I could do if I just went further. And so I went further, and that's how I got to where I am right now.
Great. Who was next?
Me. Hi. So I think a big misconception is that you need to join every single club and you need to be a part of everything and all this stuff. But for me, I really focused on two big things and just went in deep. Then like I put my heart and soul. Like I'm the editor-in-chief of the yearbook and the president of our class. And I think, I don't know if, I know people haven't seen the yearbook yet, but Mariano can attest to it. I put my heart and soul into both of those things. And that was, I think with those, I learned so many lessons. I learned how to be a leader. I learned the basics of basically life sort of, and working with people, things like that. And with those two big things and just going full throttle with them, I think that really helped me.
You know, we're leading right into the next question. Gracie, I want to hear from you. But we are leading in the next question about activities and leadership and things like that. But go, Grace. That's what we're talking.
So what I wanted to say is, like, in a way, I kind of did choose activities deliberately, but like not in a way for colleges. So my older sister had like a pretty successful high school career, and she definitely like left her mark on the school. And something that I found throughout my whole high school experience was that I wanted to create a kind of like a niche for myself that was unique to me, because I didn't want it to kind of feel like I was following this path in my family or anything like that. So I deliberately tried to find clubs that, one, I was passionate about, but two, were different and unique to me. So for that, I definitely like got involved very early on in my freshman year with athletic training. And I kind of stuck through that like my whole 4 years. And I definitely found a really nice community there. And I got a lot of community service hours. And it was something that I was genuinely passionate about. So I think that was really important for me.
And what else? Keep going. Don't stop there.
About what?
What are you president of?
Oh, and then, I mean, but that said, like, there was also aspects that, like, obviously some things that interest her, like, interested me too. So I was like, despite the fact that, like, she was also, like, president of Key Club, I was like, Key Club is something I'm genuinely interested in. Like, I want to be president of Key Club. So I became president of Key Club, and then I also, like, found different other activities. So I became, like, treasurer of NHS, and I got involved a lot with French Honor Society and things like that. Yeah.
Anyone else want their 2 cents on this one? Go ahead, Mario.
Well, it's funny coming from me, but I just don't think it's about quality.
Mariano, move up to the camera, please.
I just don't think it's about quantity, it's about quality and like how much effort you put into it. And with me, it's funny because I did it deliberately, but not for a college application, just so I could fulfill my dream of my high school musical career experience. So I did all of those activities so I could fulfill my dream of having a high school musical career. But then it ended up being actually like super beneficial, and I learned so many lessons from so many different things, from student council, from yearbook, from drama, from NHS, and all these, even from the youth group at my church. Like, all these different experiences allowed me to grow into how to lead and what works and what doesn't work as a leader, and organization and teamwork. Teamwork is very important, and you definitely want to highlight if you're a good team member in your college application, because college is all about community and what you're going to bring to the table. And so you want to highlight those things that makes a person, whether you are, even if you don't think you're a leader and like you are just a member of a club, but because you don't want to be a leader, or you're just an introvert, that's completely fine. Just talk about how you are a team member and how you like to play a role in the team and you like to follow others. That they always emphasize on how you have to be leaders, but it's also okay to be a team member.
Great. You know, so I'm going to do a little plug for a second. This has to be, first of all, I wanted 2 things. I want to say one thing. How many of you had siblings go to Palmetto? Raise your hand. Because it's funny, as I go through this, you guys definitely stepped over the bar of them. And I don't think any of us, obviously teachers talk and counselors talk. I don't think we ever looked at any of you as someone's little brother or sister or compared you. You guys all made your own mark in your own way. And you guys did an amazing job. I just have to tell that to you as talking counselors talking and teachers talking. You should be so proud of what you accomplished. I'm going to go for another plug while we're doing, I like commercials. Usually, by the way, usually we would be doing something with drama after this, you know, but this drama group, this thespian group 1298 was I have to say was probably the smartest 1298 we've ever had. Most successful at the college part. So I just want to give you that recognition for what you did and what you accomplished without an auditorium, moving around senior year, and then eventually losing everything, and then still putting on things over the last few weeks. You guys did just an amazing job, along with getting into some amazing colleges, two to Tisch, which is, I don't think we've ever had that at Palmetto, at least that I remember since I've been there, maybe back in the days. But just have to give Miss Barson and the drama program such props for what they've done. The other thing I want to talk about is, so now that I take drama out of the picture, what was the club or activity that was the thing that really rocked your socks and you can't use drama? So Nia, you want to start?
I think doing the shot nets and color guard was definitely the smartest choice I made throughout my 4 years. It opened up so many different opportunities for me and brought on new experiences, and I made so many new friends from across the state of Florida. Like, it's such a great environment that I don't think I could have survived high school without it.
Vincent.
I don't think I'm the person to answer this question, I'm afraid.
So no honors, no competition. So you being on YouTube and that competition wasn't a challenge where you guys were totally embarrassed and finally lost to what school was that? That wasn't a challenge for you? That wasn't fun, those competitions?
Sorry? Well, okay, so the thing that really set me apart were these things called, well, it's a specific kind of competition. So there are going to be a lot of competitions out there in this high school world. Like there's Science Bowl here at Palmetto. You've got the History Bowl competitions. But what really set me apart are these things called Olympiads. And these are nationally well-known competitions. Like there's a huge amount of talent in these competitions. So there are 5 big ones, and I did all 5. There's computer science, math, biology, chemistry, and I'm missing one. Physics. That was it. And I managed to get like past the open competition in 4 of them. And I will say this, that it is both not easy to make it past the open competition, and it is known that if you make it past the open competition, you've got a lot of talent. So if you are a student who, say, excels in any one of these subjects and wants to pursue it further, then I recommend that you look into the U.S. Math Olympiad or the U.S. Biology Olympiad. And once you do that, I think that you'll have an outlet to both demonstrate that you like doing what you do and that you're very good at what you do, because believe me, you've got to be very good at what you do to do well in these.
Good, great. I'm glad you had nothing to say. Okay, Gina. Are you there?
Yeah. What was the question again?
The activity or club or organization that rocked your socks.
Not necessarily was it like a club, more activity, I guess, would be like, I spent most of the time playing volleyball, club and school. So it would be more of like just going back to what we talked about earlier, competitive, and like just being with a bunch of people that, you know, some are better than you, some are at the same level as you. I did several like open camps at universities across Florida, and that was really challenging because we come from Florida. Miami's like not the greatest in volleyball, so I always try to like go up in different parts of Florida to like learn more. And it's like challenging to just go up against people that are potentially better than you, and it's like you having to figure out how to like get to their level. Right. And it helped a lot with, I guess, sophomore and junior year, when my team, we did qualify for the Junior Olympics, and we then together we went and did like a bunch of those practices around different Floridas, like especially Orlando. And then we did the competition. We ended up getting second in the nation, and that brought our Florida rank to top 5.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Emily?
Hi. So I guess my like activity that outside of drama that was like really a big part of my application, I've volunteered at Nicholas Children's Hospital for the past I think 2 years now. So I volunteer in their oncology unit, which is their cancer unit, and really it's just like very different from all the things I do in school. I'm very much a people person. I love helping people, like supporting people, especially children. I love children, but I just found it outside of school. It was something that I really cared about. It was something I considered going into as a profession at one point, but just everything I do there or did there kind of, I can't go right now because everything going on, but I do a lot of art with the kids and a lot of communications, and I found that that's pretty much something I do in all of my activities. I found that art's one of my favorite things ever. So outside of like theater acting, I do like publicity, and for NHS I do publicity, and I just do a lot of like advertising and communications. So that was a really big thing that I found helped me, or I don't know, it's my passion, I guess.
Great. No, that's what I want to hear. Allison?
Hi. I was the editor of the newspaper, and I think the funny thing is I got into journalism because of you, Mr. Nuremberg. I wanted to take a photography class my freshman year. I don't know why. And you said you should take journalism instead. So I took it my first year when I didn't know anyone, straight out of like my really small private middle school, and I loved it. And then Miss Aviles, who's just so great, convinced me to at the bottom. I went from staff writer, and then I moved up to feature editor, and then I was editor-in-chief. And it just was not planned at all. I had no idea that it was going to happen, and now I'm thinking of pursuing journalism, maybe as like a minor in school. So it was just like unexpected in the best way.
Great. Mackenzie?
So my big thing was yearbook and student council, and the way I sort of got into yearbook was because my sister was editor-in-chief at the time of the newspaper, and I knew I could not work with my sister. I could not take direction from her, even like just I couldn't. So my sister was like, you should do yearbook. And so I threw caution to the wind. They had never had a freshman in yearbook before. It was always like a sophomore to senior thing, like very exclusive, very like ooh. And so I threw caution to the wind. I applied, I did the interview. I was super nervous, and I was just kind of like, whatever happens, you know, it's like, I don't expect anything because it's this, they don't really like freshmen, and I understand why, like normal. And then I got in, and I was shocked, but through yearbook, I was able to meet older kids. I was able to become friends with the older kids. I was able to learn from them. I was able to really figure out what's good and what's really not good. Like, what should I be doing and what's not the best thing to be doing. And then I started as a staffer. Then I was clubs editor, and then I was academics and index editor, and now I'm editor-in-chief. And actually, in my interview for editor-in-chief, I had said that I pretty much did every job on staff. So I did every job that no one wanted to do, but I did it in stride, and I really just took on whatever challenge they threw at me, and that kind of became a majority of my world. And I kind of sort of split my time between yearbook and student council, and thank God that they were placed next to each other for the new building, because the amount of times that I was just going back and forth, I was just running in, and I was like, okay, what do you need to be doing? And then I would go in, and they would ask me questions for activities, and then I'd like tell them what to do in yearbook, and I just running back and forth. And it was a busy camaraderie that I loved, that I was just thriving on. And I make jokes that I apologize to all the people that I yelled at, because there were moments where I would just like, I was really like high at adrenaline, and I would just like, you know, like yell at them, but throughout my time, I really, really do appreciate both of those clubs.
I don't want to rush anybody, but I want each of you to give your own little thing, but we'll be here 3.5 hours if we all go at something. So Alana, besides drama?
Definitely student council. That's the other thing. Drama takes up a significant chunk of my time. So I went from advertising chair last year, one of Miss Chief of Staff along with Nia this year. And it just a lot about leadership. I don't regret a lot of the yelling I did, unlike Mackenzie. I felt it necessary at times. But I think it definitely defined not necessarily the content of my application, but I was more confident in showing my strength and my, I guess, leadership skills, but I tend to command when I lead, and I was a lot more confident showing that as of Miss Valero and student council.
I'm glad somebody said that, because if you hadn't, we would have had to said that separately. Thank you. Ethan?
Other than drama,
I know, it was a tough one for you, huh?
yeah, I know. Well, I put a lot into it. It was definitely something I found in middle school that I found was something that I could do for the rest of my life. There was never really like a moment that I was like, this is what I want to do. I just slowly fell in love with it. I mean, it's just such a great profession and everything. But other than that, I'd say in school, I was also part of a creative writing club. I would sometimes go. It was it was another creative outlet I had as an artist. And I was part of the creative writing honors class as part of my senior year. And it was like a small class of like about 11, 12 people. And it was just a good group of people, and we got to express ourselves artistically and get to know each other and how we write. And I just thought that was a great experience too.
Great. Fantastic.
Sure.
Gabriella?
So mine, I realized it after, but I had like this major alignment in my community service, which was tutoring. So my major, it spanned from the high school to past years at the middle school to Pinecrest Elementary. So that was like, I think that showed like a clear alignment, like a clear like part of me and what I enjoy, which is like helping others and like teaching others, like if they have trouble with something. So I think that was a part that like helped me a lot, because I'm from Pinecrest Elementary with Spanish to math and then middle school math. And so I think that was a major part.
Great. Who am I missing? Lindsay, did you get one? Did I get you already on this one? No. Okay. Go ahead. We've got to do a little quicker because we're moving along. You're muted.
Yes. For me, it was definitely Science National Honor Society. Like I said, coming into Palmetto, I didn't really know what I was going to do, so I joined Science National Honor Society under Dr. Sharp and Ms. Schlackman. And it was definitely very helpful for me in pursuing my interest in science. Like definitely, I probably would not have gotten into the Young Scholars Program, which I went to in summer after junior year. I probably wouldn't have gotten in without all of their help, with all their support of also other students who had gone to YSP and told me about their incredible experiences there. It's a very great experience for me, very humbling.
Where's that at?
It's at Florida State University. It is a very good program. Definitely if you're into science and if you are a rising junior, apply for it.
And while we're talking about accolades, different people, you were just named what? Your latest accomplishment, which nobody knows about.
I was a Presidential Scholar semifinalist. So basically they take a bunch of nominees from around the nation based on their SAT, ACT score, or big awards in arts or technical education, I think. So I was selected based on my SAT score. I had to complete a whole application and then I became a semifinalist. They chose, I think, around 600 semifinalists out of the 5,300 or something originally. And I did not make a finalist, but still a very big accomplishment.
A big accomplishment, yes it is. Daniel.
I think Science National Honor Society definitely also influenced me the most, but also, and specifically Science Bowl. with Dr. Sharp. When I was a freshman and a sophomore, especially, like we practiced every day Friday after school, and I got to like talk to all the seniors and juniors who were like really, really smart people who I still look up to. And I definitely learned a lot from them, and I felt really comfortable there.
Great. Nick?
Well,
Just
I
want
already
to
talked.
do this quickly because we're
Okay.
only halfway done, and we want people to stay on the air and watch this.
Okay. Well, I already talked about band, so I'll talk about social science, honor society specifically. I loved History Bowl, even though Vincent is a lot better than I am. It was always really, really fun. The competitions, I got to go to nationals last year. I made a ton of friends. I had Lindsay on my team sophomore year, and that was great. And yeah, I thought that was helpful because I got to write that I qualified at every competition.
And Jake?
All right, you really took a lot of what I could have said by saying we can't talk about drama, but something that I did love that was a big part of my high school experience was student council. And I joined my sophomore year after I saw my brother did it, and he applied the same year, and I really enjoyed it. It taught me a lot of skills that no other honor society or club could have given me. So it was really exciting.
Great. All right, watch this challenge. Mariano, 15 seconds.
Okay, so the two clubs besides drama that were really meaningful to me was Yearbook and Student Council. Both of them are cool because you get to talk to upperclassmen and you get to look up to them and follow there are things that they do and look up to them, and like they help you a lot through the college process and like even through the new things that you're gonna accomplish in your high school career.
Great. Look at 30 seconds, not bad. Mr. Wire, any input so far as we go to the next section real quickly? Are we good?
Best kids ever. Love it.
Okay. All right, guys. I want you to go back, now that you're all confident and feel good about what's happening, I want you to go back to the time when you lost your mojo, when you were doing the applications, when you had people, most of you guys through your 3 years of high school never had anybody check your work. And now for the first time, as you write essays and do applications and go for auditions and go for interviews, you all questioned yourself, I think, unless you're going to tell me something different now, and asked people for help. So whoever would like to raise their hand and talk about this process, we're going to just talk about, and not necessarily have the hands go up on this one. Go ahead, Alana, because I
had quite the experience of the college application process. It was quite difficult for me and my mental well-being. I think I had a lot more moments where I was not confident, and the moments where I was confident were few and far between. But I can think of two very specific moments where it was difficult. When I just saw you change your background. When Miss Spivak rejected my first college essay, like right out of the gate, she was like, "You cannot use this for a comment." I ended up using it for a supplement. And it's gotten me far enough that I'm here. But I ended up using it for a supplement, and her rejecting it was probably the best thing she could have done. But it was a tough day. I remember going into Mr. Nuremberg's old office and crying. And then I went on a lot of interviews. I don't know why they weren't crucial to my application process because I didn't apply to many really interview intensive schools. But I had an interview for Tufts and the guy didn't show up. So that was a rough point. And then the interview ended up not going well at all. He gave me a paper full of questions and said, "These are the questions I'm supposed to ask you." So those are pretty lines, but I definitely wish I would have had a little bit more positivity, because I now know that I can do it. I'm here, I'm going to college. Like, it's possible. You can do it too.
Okay, Grace.
Okay, so I would say for me, I would just say, like, in general, writing is not my strongest thing. Like, I don't particularly
You have
enjoy
to
it.
mic out.
My what's out? Can you hear me?
Okay, we're gonna go back to, are we all on still? All right, who
Yeah.
else is saying? We'll come back to you, Grace.
Okay.
Go, Allison.
For me, with my background in newspaper, it was really hard for me to have other people read my work. I like, aside from people on staff, I wasn't used to it. So like I had my parents read things, but if they wanted to make any change, I had like a 45-minute fight with them about it. I just was like really confident in my own writing, which is not great sometimes. So it was a little touch and go with that, but we made it through and it was all good. It's just different.
Okay. Lindsay, go ahead. Let's make these quick. Talk about your lack of confidence.
My worst point was definitely after the application process. I think it was in January, February-ish, definitely before UF decisions, but the wait takes a very big toll on you because you've been doing like several months of nonstop writing, nonstop like people critiquing your essays, going over the common application every time you submit another one. So it's several months of nonstop working, and then suddenly it's just like you have nothing left. So during that wait, I had a very low surge in confidence. I went to Nuremberg's room one morning and started crying. First time I cried in his office. And that was just the lowest point. So I wish I could have told myself then that it's going to end at some point. March will come around and you will get those decisions, even if they're not what you like. But you will get the decisions and it will be over at some point. So I think if anyone gets to that point during or after the application process, just know like this too shall pass.
And everything is okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Gracie, back to you. I'm sorry, that was me, not you. So.
Okay. So basically, I would say that writing has never really been my strong suit. So that's made me pretty like unconfident in my writing. So at the start of the college process, writing all of these essays, these supplements, I really like doubted myself, and I was going back a lot to my counselor. Obviously I talked to Nuremberg, but then also I had a private counselor. So I would like go back to her a lot and be like, I don't know. I'm really like, I don't know what to do. And throughout the process of just like writing all these essays, I think the most important thing for me was like trying to gain that confidence in my writing and the thoughts that were coming to my head. And obviously still being receptive to like criticism and like all those kinds of things, but really like focusing on like, I know myself, I know what I can do, I know what I'm capable of, and like, I know I can write a good essay. So yeah.
Mackenzie and then Jake.
For me, the lack of confidence was definitely comparing myself to people. I know you can't, like, I know everyone's like, don't do that, but you cannot help it. And it's so tough when you think about everything that you're taught and what you go through and your scores, and you know this, but other people don't. And just, you hear, oh, this person got in here, or this person got in here. And then you're like comparing scores, and it's just a mess that way.
And today?
I'm better. I'm good. I'm happy.
Someone else? Who did I say next? Jake?
Yeah. So I feel like every year when it comes to like losing your mojo, whenever your grade is on the line, which for me, it tended to be like third grading period every year. When you're starting to realize maybe this grade that I really wanted is starting to slip from me. I mean, I guess I lost my mojo academically, but I think when it comes to the application process, you can't say, oh, I was bad at this subject or, bad at this part of history. It's kind of like you feel like if you're rejected, they're rejecting your person, like they're rejecting you as a whole. And I think that it became pretty daunting. My mom and I actually, here, I got this picture up. This is my wall. This is a picture of all the application prompts that we put, that I had to write. And I woke up to that every morning. I would like get up from my bed and stare at every question I haven't answered about who I am. So that felt really daunting for me. I didn't know if I would recommend that to everyone, but I mean, I guess the thing that you have to say to yourself is that it'll I mean, like Lindsay said, it's all going to work out, you know, but it can be scary up until then.
Okay, a couple more and then we'll end this topic. Go, Gab.
I just want to like add to what Mackenzie said about the comparing part. I usually like I had no confidence in myself, so I told absolutely no one that I was applying early decision, and because you compare yourself, you have people, then it's just the fact that it's a competitive. It doesn't have to be competitive because people are applying to different schools, but you just compare yourself to he had a higher test score, or his SAT score was higher. I don't know if we're applying. So I would like, as a suggestion, part of it too, you don't really have to, not everyone has to know what you're doing. And it's easier. You may, like, you can tell your friends or whoever, but you can move in silence. Like, you can do everything, which honestly can work better for some people. It did for me, because if I had everyone asking me the day of the decision, are you excited? Are you nervous? I know that I would have flipped. I liked that it came as a surprise after, because not everyone has to know what you're doing, which is a big factor of it.
Great.
That's it.
Only one more hand. Go, Mariano, then Daniel, and then we'll stop this one.
I think what Gabby said is very important. This is your business, nobody else's. And it's everything you do, whatever schools you're applying to, you don't have to tell anybody. Because this is you. You're doing this for yourself, not for what others are going to think of you. And that was very hard for me because I was not as academically competitive as my friends. So seeing, like, there were many times where I doubted myself, like, should I even apply to school? Is it even worth of my time? And like, there were schools that I applied and I got in with, like, I didn't thought I would. So definitely, like, this is your business, and it's nobody's, like, it's okay if you want to share with your friends, like, oh, I'm considering applying this. But people talk, and you have to understand that people talk. And they will know whatever you say, whenever you get in, whenever you get rejected, people will find out. So try to keep the things that you think are, like, personal to you, keep them personal. It's okay. Nobody needs to know your SAT score. Nobody needs to know your ranking. Nobody needs to know your GPA, because this is for you, not for anybody else.
And Daniel?
So when I started the process, I also had, like, I don't know, a 20-page document with just a ton of prompts that I had to answer. And obviously that's super stressful. But what was even more stressful was when I started my Common App in, like, September, even though it was, or August, even though it was due November. And then a month before it was due, I had like 20 drafts, none of which I liked. And I would just recommend to take the summer before your senior year, or like whenever in high school, to just figure out who you are and what your most interesting stories are, so that you don't scramble for months trying to figure out how to write a Common App or like what to focus on.
Okay. That's it. We're good on this one. Okay. I know we're at this. If this were in the auditorium, I think I'd be moving a little faster because we really don't have any time constraints. I'm going to keep going. I don't know what to do about the SAT, ACT. I know how many. I'm going to ask some general questions. How many of you, by a raise of hands, use an SAT tutor or an ACT tutor? Okay. Can I talk to the ones? Let me just raise your hand. Who did not use an SAT, ACT tutor? Can you talk about it for a second, Nick and Nia, somebody, and Gab, just for 1 minute? How was it not having help with that?
Well, for me, the first time I took the SAT, I kind of just went in cold turkey, if you will. Like, I didn't study, I didn't have a tutor, and I did well. And then my parents had very different reactions. My dad was like, oh, you did great and you didn't study or have a tutor. And my mom's like, you did great, but you didn't even study or have a tutor. Imagine how well you could have done. Then my mom made me go to SAT tutoring for like 2 months. And then when I took it again, my score was actually lower by 40 points. So it's not for everyone.
Okay. Who else? Gab?
So I didn't have a tutor, but like the first time, like Nikki said, I just went in just to see what I could do. And then afterward, it was kind of just like self-motivation, getting yourself to study, which is what I think a tutor could help you with, is if you don't want to actually go and like study or you need someone to like push you. But I just did Khan Academy. My score went up, and I thought it was really useful. I think the hardest part is getting yourself to actually study, because you see the benefits after you do.
Anybody else use Khan? Lindsay?
Yeah, so I didn't use a SAT, ACT tutor. I only took the SAT once, but that was because I studied for like the entire summer and all the months leading up to this December SAT. What I did was I just took all of the SAT and PSAT tests released on College Board. Like I set aside four hours every weekend just to take a mock SAT. Then when I ran out of those, like Gabby said, I used Khan Academy. Khan Academy, I think, is really helpful because they're like partnered with the SAT or something. So at least for the reading and writing, those parts were the hardest for me. They had a lot of prompts, and they also had a lot of College Board style passages and questions. If anything, they were actually a little bit harder than the real SAT. So I was able to like judge where I was at before actually taking the test.
Okay. Anybody else? Alana, go ahead.
I did an interesting tactic of not studying at all. So that was fun. I was an ACT person. I took the SAT twice and the ACT once. The tests always seemed to fall after significant events, which was really fun, but you can't control when the tests fall. But I just kind of found I always known that I'm a good test taker, and luckily it worked out for me because I kind of let that get to my head, and I wish I had used Khan Academy. Miss told me to every single day. It's fine. I didn't listen to you. But I wish I had. I think I would have felt like I did my job if I had, like, I felt like I got good scores by dumb luck, So I recommend studying a little bit just for peace of mind.
Great. And Nia, did you have your hand up, or did I just?
I did have my hand up. I actually didn't use an SAT tutor or any like Khan Academy or anything like that. I did studying a few times, not really much, and I took the SAT twice, and I got relatively higher scores than my PSAT when I took them, and I did a lot better. But I feel like the best advice is to at least study with Khan Academy, because when I did use Khan Academy for like 30 minutes one time, it actually helped a lot, and it boosted my reading score by like 30 points.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going to stop that because I want to keep going with something else. But I want to ask a question now. Hypothetical. Is there anybody in this room right now that would go test optional for next year if they had to do it over? Raise your hand if you would go test optional. You would just go on your scores and your essays. So I've got Mariano and Nick. Is that it? And Ethan. And okay, so hands are starting to go up. Okay. And you would want it, I was curious how that would work, because some of these kids are going to have that big decision. They took it one time without studying, and that's all they have. And now they have to make a decision if they're going to test. And I just want to bring that up because I know juniors are watching this.
Well,
I'm sorry?
Really quick, I went to optional to Wake Forest, and I got in. And I think if I would have sent in my score, it would have hindered my application.
Okay.
So definitely test for optional if you, yeah.
Okay. Question for some of you, not for all of you. I want to talk about parents and finances. Did you guys have conversations before, after? I don't want a few of you to answer this question about the finances of college. Did you feel like you knew what to be prepared to make a financial decision? Does anybody have any insight to that? Nick, go.
My parents, I don't think talked about it like as much. My dad was like, you know what, like wherever you go, we'll be able to support you. And then my mom was saying, if you're going out of state, it's not going to happen. And it was like two conflicting reports the whole time. So it was like, I never really was sure where I could and couldn't go.
Okay. Anybody else on the talk finances with their parents before? Gabrielle?
I think it was really important to talk finances before, because then you get excited that you get in and then, you can't afford it, which is like a heartbreaking occurrence also. So I talked, and that kind of like led my way looking into options that provide the most need-based aid and looking into scholarships and all that stuff, because my options were, at least mine, were definitely impacted by like financial decisions.
Okay. And I just out of, how many of you actually applied with FAFSA? Just an idea. Raise your hand if you did FAFSA. Okay. All right. So I want to start winding this up. And I know we didn't cover everything that that we could talk about. I know we could do this for hours and hours and hours, but we're not going to. So here is the thing, and you're going to do this in maybe like 1 minute, 90 seconds, something like that. I just want to go around the room and just, what advice would you give your parents if you could talk to them as a 9th grader? What would you tell your own 9th grade self? Okay? That's really what I want to, what would you tell your own self? Let's go back 3.5 years, and what would you tell yourself, and what advice would you give a parent? Maybe not your parents. Let's just say, what advice would you give parents? So anybody want to raise their hand and volunteer because they know what they want to say? Go, Nick.
The applying to college now is completely different to applying to college whenever they went to college, and that they might think that they know a lot about it or know what is and isn't good for applying, but really, for the most part, at least for me, they don't.
And what would you tell yourself?
Always like try hard in school. If there's a harder class available, like if you're taking U.S. history and there's regular honors or AP, always take the highest one available, because colleges are going to see, hey, you went to this school and they have this class available and you didn't take it.
Right. Okay. Mariano.
So the advice I would give to parents is don't try to edit your kids' essays. I didn't let my parents read my essays because I knew they would have commentary on it. And you give your essays to people who you trust, but my best advice, don't, because your parents will try to fix them on how they would sound. Let's say your dad's like a lawyer, and like he would write it on how a lawyer writes. And that's not how a high school student writes. So that's my advice to parents. Don't try to edit your kids' essays.
And to yourself?
And my advice to myself
is... Ninth grade self, before you came to Palmetto.
Let's come back to that one.
Okay, Jake?
Wait, did you say me?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So if I were to give advice to parents, it would be that if your child does end up letting you read their essays, and you see it doesn't match the potential that you think your child has, don't freak out and make them freak out about their paper. But certainly, I think that there's a certain healthiness to pushing them to write stronger than maybe they're showing you.
Okay. And to your 9th grade self?
And to my 9th grade self, I always thought that if you wanted to get into XYZ colleges, you had to be like the best at this one thing. Or you certainly, I heard that you can't do, like you shouldn't make yourself do everything, but I'm trying to make this concise, but it's not working. I think that you should tell a kid to not do what they think that a college wants them to do, and to explore what they want.
Great. Gabriella?
So for parents, my parents did a good job at this, where they did not worry about my schoolwork. They left it up to me, which is, I think, something that helped me a lot, because it drove like my self-motivation, which like in turn like made it a stronger like desire within me. Because I know if they would have been like, Gabby, go do your homework, Gabby, how'd you do on that test? My view on school would have been totally different. It would have been for them and not for me. And so that's advice I would give to parents, like let your child kind of like figure out, like obviously if they need to push, but being like that parent that's always like on top of them, then that's like, I feel like that could be like a method of like of them losing their desire to actually like
I
do
got
it.
it. You're making sense. Do you have anything to tell yourself?
Yeah, to tell myself, I definitely would not have worried about individual grades. Coming in, algebra 2, ninth grade, very different from middle school. And I received, it's not always going to be A's and B's, and you're going to get a bunch of F's. And I think those individual grades in the moment, you're like, wow, I got an F. But in the long run, it doesn't matter. I focused way too much on grades when I could have been focusing on other long-term goals.
Great. Lindsay? You're muted.
Correct. I keep forgetting I'm on mute. Right. So to
You and everybody else in the world in Zoom.
For parents, you are not the student. No matter how you feel, your child is the one that's putting together the application. And if you're the one that's putting together the application, that's not what you should be doing. Don't make the application process about you or your feelings. This is about your child. So you can offer advice. Like my parents read every single one of my essays, and it was a tiring process for us all, but reading the essays definitely helped. They offered advice, opinions. I took some of them, didn't take others. But you can't force your advice on someone. So listen to your kid. They're going to tell you what you need, whether it's comfort, advice, or just to back off a little bit. So that's for parents. For my ninth grade self, read more. Reading was what helped me get my score on my reading and writing SAT. And reading definitely helped me a lot with my essays. Another thing I will say is your grades matter, but not to the extent that they used to matter in middle school. So focus on self-discipline, yes. Like just motivating, being able to motivate yourself to do things and not just have other people say, oh, you need to do this because it'll make you do X, Y, Z.
Great.
You need to do this for yourself.
Great. Daniel.
All right. For parents, I would say that if your child is applying to like more than 12 schools or something, you might want to help them keep track of all the deadlines. Just not because kids aren't good at keeping track of deadlines, they're just like very confusing. Like different schools for interviews, they have a deadline that they want you to submit by, or scholarships, and they're not always very clear. So that's for parents. And then for my ninth grade self, I would probably just tell myself the importance of living in the moment and the day. Like even if it seems daunting to think that in a few years you're going to have done all these projects and have led all these things, but it's really just like every day, what are you going to learn? What are you going to do? You know, colleges, if you just keep moving every day, at the end of the 4 years, you'll have stuff to show.
Great. Anything else? We're good? Okay. Emily, you guys don't know the order I'm going in, but I'm going just across the board.
Oh, okay. So for parents, I'd say like I think each family like knows each other best, and you know what your child needs. So the best thing that my parents did, I'm very much like organized and on top of my stuff, so they kind of let me be, and whenever I needed them, they were my cheerleaders and I could go to them and they would support me. But like I don't like writing, so I never showed them any of my essays. There are a number of essays that I didn't show anyone, that I just submitted and went with it.
Good for you.
So I think it's a big thing to have trust with your kids, but obviously if you know that they're going to forget about deadlines if you don't remind them, then have that conversation with them at the beginning of the process, but just generally be their cheerleader and trust them. And for my ninth grade self, I would tell her not to be afraid to ask for help, because I definitely realized later in my high school years, the most beneficial like thing for me was randomly going up to my friends and being like, I don't understand anything of what's going on right now. And they helped me, and it was great. Like I know like Lindsay's here. The number of times I've gone up to Lindsay, like I don't know anything that's going on right now, she pulled through. And like just ninth grade Emily, don't be afraid of things and be happy and do what you love. That's what I'd say.
Okay. Nia.
To parents, I would definitely say to encourage any like the outgoingness that a student has, because my mom actually encouraged me more so to try out for FIU. She loved color guard in general for me, and then when the opportunity arose for me to try out for FIU, she was all for it, and it turned out really well for me and became a huge part of my senior year. And advice to myself, I'd say to be less afraid of going after what I wanted, because when I first applied for student council, I was absolutely terrified walking into the room with like 12 other kids. I was mortified and so scared about what could happen that I didn't really take the time to be myself. And I feel like if I would have taken the time to be more myself and be less afraid, then things probably would have turned out differently.
And if I could pay you a compliment, by the way, after your interview, Ms. Valero came to me and said, I met this amazing young lady. So just want to make sure you know.
Thank you.
Okay. And you have any advice for yourself? Was that it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was thinking about what I wanted to say, not what Gracie.
So some advice that I would give to parents would definitely be like, it can be very easy to get really invested in whatever is going on with the application process for your kids, whether it's like a specific school or anything like that. I would say it's really important to realize like this is their process, this is their journey. Make sure that you're checking yourself throughout that process to make sure that you're being, as Emily said, like a cheerleader as opposed to like putting yourself right into the middle of it. And then some advice for ninth grade me would probably be to be confident in what you're passionate about. There are going to be times when you're questioning if like you're doing the right decision or like if this is going to help you or not help you in the college process down the road. And to really just like stick with your gut and what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, like that will be like very like noticeable in your application.
Great. Vincent.
So something I would want to tell my ninth grade self and any other ninth grade out there is that connections are really important. Like, for example, there are a lot of things in this world that are merit-based. And like, for example, if you're planning on doing those Olympiads, then that's a merit-based thing. But there are also a shocking number of things that are not merit-based. And if you want to be able to do well in those fields, you will want those connections. Now, what are these connections? Those connections are not just located at Palmetto because, you know, there are connections that you should make at Palmetto, but you'll also want to look for these connections outside of Palmetto. There are research internships out there that you just have to ask for. Just pop them in your resume. There are internships with congressmen. There are volunteer opportunities you have to the Science Museum that are not like, it is not as gated as it used to be for these kinds of things. So these connections can be a huge help to your application later on, and they can also hurt you a lot if you don't exploit them to the fullest ability that you have.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, okay? You ready? This is great advice for you all as you go to college. Don't forget what he's telling you, because that's what college is all about. It's making connections and not being afraid freshman year to make that connection. Vincent, you're going to have to go a little faster and get it done. Now, what would you tell yourself? Was that yourself? Now, I'm sorry. Now you're going to the other one.
Sorry?
What are you just, that was to yourself. That was your advice to yourself, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's another question on the table. You have anything? What would you tell a parent?
Yes. So to all the parents out there, I will say that one of the most important things that you can do for really any of your children is to pull at those connections. Let your kid know, hey, I know this guy who works at this big engineering firm and I think I could get you an internship there. You want that? Or, hey, I know this professor out there who's got an open spot in his lab and I can get you in there. You want that? So to all the parents out there, I will say, make sure that your kid knows what connections you have so that kid thinks, hey, that's something I might want to do. And I can just cut the line right here. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I will say that that's the thing that you can do and that's the thing that you should do.
Thank you. Gina. Hello? Are you frozen?
Okay, yeah, I wasn't clicking. What I would say for parents is just to trust your child, because I know for myself going into senior year, like the summer going into, my parents had like a whole out-of-state track and like a whole binder of like schools that I should go to. And I definitely do not want to go out of state. I want to stay in Florida. So you should definitely like talk to your child and have a conversation before like you plan everything out for them. Like you should know what they want. And the advice for myself as if I were a ninth grader, That would be, there is no like specific path of high school, like the kind of classes you have to take. Like just do whatever, like you don't have to take all APs, you don't have to take all honors, I don't know, whatever. Just do what makes like you feel more comfortable. Like everyone is good at something and you'll figure out what you're good at throughout the years.
Fantastic. Ethan.
Yeah, I'd say my advice to parents is pretty similar to Gina's. When I started out, me and my parents sat down, we went out to dinner, and we really talked about what I needed and how they could help me, and that they had to trust me to be able to do all the work and get all the applications done and be on top of the deadlines, but to still check and make sure I was on top of that. So, but every family is different. Every kid is different. So just make sure you know what your child needs when going into the process. And some advice I'd give to my 9th grade self is not to strive for perfection. Just as simple as that.
Great. Alana?
Advice I would give to parents, this kind of sounds redundant, but this is a difficult process for everyone, and every kid is going to show that in different ways. Every kid is going to have a different emotional reaction to anything. We're all different. We're all unique. That's what makes them, whatever. Just know your kid and be there for what they need, not what you see on blog that says this is how you should deal with a kid going through college applications, and that might change throughout the process, but be kind of in tune with your kid. And advice that I would give myself 9th grade and throughout my whole career at Palmetto is ideas aren't too big. You can have these extravagant ideas and get discouraged. I know Emily knows exactly what I'm talking about, but
there.
but I had all these big ideas and I got really discouraged because I thought I was aiming too high and reaching too far, and there were just too many bumps in the road. And I think if I had just kept going 1 or 2 more steps, I could have made all of these things a reality. But for college now.
Great. Anything else?
Okay. My advice to
I know, Mariana, you had your shot. Let me get to 2 more. I've got Allison. Go ahead. I know you're there. Mackenzie, I'm saving you for last totally on purpose because I want to hear what you're going to tell your parents. Go ahead.
So as the oldest child in my family, I kind of felt like the guinea pig going through all this. I only have a younger sister, so like my parents didn't really know as much as I knew. Like neither one of us knew what we were doing at first. So I'd say don't be overbearing, but let your child know you're going through this together and it's a joint effort when you want it to be. Oh, and then for myself, I would say like not to underestimate myself, because 9th grade me was terrified of everything and everyone. And I didn't really think I was going to be in any leadership positions or anything like that. So that's what I would tell myself.
Great. Mackenzie.
For parents, well, my parents were actually really good with this whole process because they went through my sister, which I think like her process, just like because my sister's my sister, I think it was tough for her. So I think they've seen the tough parts of it. So they were really great. And I think to all parents, just be the support system. I think people expect like the parents to be super involved, but honestly, there are some times where it's just some really low lows and you just need to be there. It's just about being the support system, being the shoulder to cry on, being the person to say, let's go get ice cream, like things for that. I think that's really important. And advice to myself, I really put a lot of pressure on myself to be something that I wasn't my freshman year. So I would tell myself just to be myself and not to do something that I thought was right because it worked for someone else.
Great. Mariano, 20 seconds.
Even when your world is falling apart, there is always something to look forward to. And the second one is never give up. even when your world is falling apart.
Fantastic. You know, thank you, that was beautiful. The very first secret sauce we ever had, there was a young man, Bo Yu, who gave there is no secret sauce, we know that. And he said, and I will repeat it one more time, it's 60% perspiration, 30% inspiration, and 10% just pure luck. And I do believe that is the secret sauce to the whole process. And that we could all, when we tell you guys everything's going to be all right, it is going to be okay. When we go with the future that you are moving into now, I wish I could say everything's going to be all right totally in the world. We know that it's going to be different, but I'm so proud of all of you. Now, I know you're tired, okay? I know this is going way over time limit, but this is a different sauce than other sauces before. I think Mr. Dwyer is maybe up there saying, what is he going to do next? If you would like to say goodbye to anybody in the building, any teacher, anybody who you haven't had a shot to say goodbye to, by being in the sauce, I'm giving you that shot. Because you didn't get your final hugs, I'm going to let you all have 30 seconds to do it. This can be your virtual hug to whatever you want to tell, whoever you want to tell in the building, okay? So why don't we start with, go ahead, Mackenzie.
Did you see me mouth start with me? Sorry, that was just a side note. So I just want to say a big thank you to Dr. Sharp and Miss Purse. They were just such a bright light. Even though they were my hardest classes, they were such a bright light in the day that even though sometimes I dreaded it, they made it manageable. And also Miss Valero, of course, because she made everything happen this year and was really everything that I wanted to do. She helped and did her best to make it happen, and that was really exciting. And then lastly, Mr. T, because I love Mr. T and he made the yearbook happen, and if it wasn't for him, we would not have had a yearbook. Thank you.
Okay, and Nia, would you like to say anything? You're all welcome to pass.
Yeah,
If you don't want to get mushy and you want to pass, feel free to pass.
my probably biggest goodbye, because I probably texted or emailed a teacher saying goodbye already, would be to Miss Valero. She really helped me get through high school and bring me out of my shell by putting me in a leadership position my sophomore year and even guiding me through my freshman year. And I definitely don't think that I would have become one of the student council chiefs of staff if I didn't have her constantly helping me push myself to be the person that I am today.
Alana?
Miss Valero knows how much I love her and how much I appreciate her, but quick shout out to her. And I want to thank Mr. Spiegelman for always pushing me. He knows that that government is something I'm really passionate about, and he pushes me further to understand why and how and just delve deeper every single time. And I'm really going to miss him.
Ethan?
Yeah, obviously I do want to thank Ms. Barson for her guidance and all this in this whole process. She was able to help me find my pieces, and she critiqued them, and she helped me get them to a place that I was comfortable in for my auditions. And she's also done so many other great things for me throughout high school that I could never have asked for. Yeah.
Thank you. Vincent?
Okay, so I want to give a shout out to Mr. Garcia, who is really the best math teacher I've ever had, and that includes one who won IMO Bronze. And to Mr. Garcia, I just want to say thank you for, first of all, being the most hilarious teacher at Palmetto, and for also, calling me out on some of my, I can't say that word here, can I? For calling me out on some of my, shall we say?
Indiscretions.
Indiscretions, excellent choice of words. So, yes, thank you, Mr. Garcia. I know that you almost certainly won't watch this, but even so, bye.
Gina?
I'd say a thank you and a goodbye to Miss Exposito, who for my junior and senior year, I saw her as like my second parent. Just the person I would always talk to about literally school and out of school and like anything else. Just someone I felt comfortable with in the building.
Thank you. Grace?
For me, I would really like to give a shout out to Miss Schlackman. Even through like ESAC and then Enviro and then like talking to her throughout this year when I was right across the hall. Like she's just been such an important person in my high school experience, and she's been so nice to me. And I really appreciated it. So yeah.
Great. Allison?
Thankfully, I've gotten to say goodbye to most of my teachers this year, but Miss Aviles was there since day one, literally my first class. I got lost and Mr. Nuremberg had to walk me, and she was with me for the next 4 years, and she's just so great, and I'm so excited to see her keep being the advisor for newspaper and teaching English and journalism. She's great.
Great. Em?
I'm not good at like calling out specific people. I think Miss Barson knows like we had a ton of drama stuff, but I love her. Of course, Miss Valero a lot. Just my heart in that room. I love you, Mr. Nuremberg, of course. A teacher who I don't think I've really gotten to say anything to is Miss Spivak. That I love her so much, and like English has never really been one of my favorite subjects until this year, just because she's such a good person, and I want to say bye to her through this, and that I love her.
Nick?
Well, there's so many teachers that I've really liked. I mean, Miss Farkas getting me involved in social studies and history, which I've loved, and then Dino and Vargas hanging out with them after class and talking to them. But I think most of all, I couldn't find a teacher that I'd more want to say goodbye to than Mr. Spiegelman. I'm really going to miss him a lot. I was him for the day for senior takeover. I bought a giant 6-foot sandwich to bring to his class because I lost a bet in 10th grade. And I'm really going to miss him a lot.
Daniel?
I really want to thank Dr. Sharp and Ms. Schlackman for giving me like a place in Palmetto and making me feel excited to come to school every day, like for them and to compete with them after school and activities and stuff. And also you, Mr. Nuremberg, for giving me a place senior year to relax on the most comfortable couch in the world.
Welcome. Lindsay?
So I just want to say I love you so much, Dr. Sharp. You were my rock for the last 3 years and the entirety of this one. I went to your room every morning for 3 years. And just thank you for being there through everything, writing my recommendation letters. I know you wrote so many, and your hugs were always the best. Thank you for being my mom, my second mom for 4 years. And thank you for giving me all the opportunities, Science Bowl, just pushing me to join them, even though there's so many older students there. You gave me the confidence that I could make it this far. And I promise in the years to come, I will still bring you dumplings whenever I visit.
Gabrielle?
Yeah, I would say Dr. Sharp also, not because I had her for like AP Chem, but I would always go there in the mornings, and it was always like a nice start to the day because that's where like, well, just like sophomore and junior year, like where the friends would meet up, and it was just like a nice start. And Dr. Sharp was always in a good mood also, and I was like the chess club sponsor, like we grew closer, and she'd always just greet me with a smile. And I just think even though it wasn't academic, like it was just like a nice, like I want to say bye to her. So.
Jake?
Hey, okay, so I would like to thank you, first of all, for being the person since 8th grade that I first talked to back then about being nervous about college. You really helped me calm myself, instead of getting ahead of myself all the time. I'd like to thank Miss Mallard and Miss Schooler and Miss Tuttle and Miss Spivak for being a part of the application process and writing recommendations for me. Being a part of that really meant a lot for me. Thank you, Mr. Spiegelman, for being my funniest high school teacher. Thank you, Mr. Migley, for helping me fall in love with math since geometry my freshman year. Ms. Valero, thank you for introducing me to the world of student council and being such a joy to be with in 4th period. And Miss Barson, I've told you so many times that you're more than a teacher to me. You're a mentor, and it's really meant everything to me for the past 4 years. So thank you, everyone.
All right, Mariana, 1 minute.
No, this is so hard. I don't even know who to say goodbye to. There's so many people that I didn't get to say goodbye to. Okay, so
That just took 15 seconds. Go ahead.
I'll start with you. Like, you literally gave me always a play. You and Mallard adopted me and like always guided me and like talked to me with like about my problems. So, and then I would say Miss Barson, because with her I like became the person I am today. I would like to thank Miss Polito and Miss Schooler. Miss Polito for letting me find my passion for writing and like giving me my voice in writing. And Miss Schooler for literally, her class was such a joy to come to, even in my most dreaded mornings ever. Mr. Spiegelman, because he was so funny and so cool. And Solinger, because even though we had a roller coaster of a friendship, he truly is so funny and I truly enjoy hanging out with him. And then Miss Valera, she's like my mom and like I love her and she's the one who helped me find everything I love and I do, and she truly was like my best friend. Like she got me and she like we spoke the same language and like it's really hard to say goodbye, but it's not about like this is just the beginning of one of the many adventures in life.
Well, I guess that's about it. Unless anybody's got, Emily, did I forget you or? Go.
No, can I add someone?
Go.
I forgot to say Miss Tuttle, but I had her for 3 years, which is like an experience I don't think anyone else had. And she's one of my favorite people and I love her so much. And the fact that she put up with me for 3 years is a lot. So she has my whole heart. I love her.
And I forgot someone very, very special and dear to my heart, and she changed my whole view on Palmetto, Miss Spivak. She is beautiful and I loved her class. And juniors, get ready for the treat of your life. Even if you get it virtual, it's life-changing.
Anybody, guys, you can keep talking. I pay $15 a month for unlimited Zoom, so feel free. If you have anybody else you want to say it to, I will play this to them. Anybody else? We're good?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to Miss Michelle from athletic training. She's been super awesome throughout like all of my high school experience. She's always been someone I can come talk to about literally anything. So yeah, I'm gonna miss her.
I want to thank Dr. Sharp. I know that's like a basic answer now because she's the best to everyone, but I was her teacher aide. She had me for 3 years, which is an experience that very few people get to have because she teaches 2 different level classes. But she would make me coffee if I was sad, and I got my ACT score in her class and she gave me the biggest hug and it was great. And Miss Tuttle, because you inspired me to want to go into math when I go to college, and you are the best and I miss you and your children. They're really cute.
Go, Jake.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to include Dr. Sharp for pushing me to my academic limits. She's the bomb. I also want to include Miss Falligan because she's hysterical. She's so funny. And I also want to thank Miss Marseille for putting up with me for 2 years. I love you so much.
Lindsay, I saw your hand up.
All right, first of all, I can't believe I forgot to thank you, Mr. Nuremberg. I got to know you over the past 2 years, and you have definitely been a source of stability in these past few months. Thank you for letting me cry on your couch, and thank you for giving me hugs. Also, I want to thank Madame Rosa in French. I am not the easiest person to have in French class because I am not a language person, but you have inspired me a lot in terms of in the language department. Your class was always a fun, just really fun for me to be in, even though it might have seemed otherwise, but it was one of the highlights of my day.
Anybody else? Go next.
I'll throw in.
And Daniel.
Mr. Nuremberg, I would like to thank you, even though it's really just been this year coming into your office every single morning and talking to you. Even if you were busy, I would still talk to you. I never got to cry on your couch. Little unfortunate, but you know what? it was great.
It's a great experience. Gotta tell you, it's cathartic.
And also, I'm sorry we never got to go biking.
Yeah, you stood me up.
We will. We will.
Daniel?
I want to thank Mr. Vargas. His tough love really helped me discover my worth. And also Miss Darrow, because the class was a lot of fun and her effort is definitely appreciated.
That long ride. Em?
I just wanted to add a little comment about crying on your couch in your office. One of my favorite memories is like right after I didn't get posse the day after, I sat in your office and I wasn't crying and you looked at me and you go, cry. And I was like, I don't need to cry. And you're like, no, cry. And then I like cried and everything felt better and it was a good time. So don't be afraid to cry in Nuremberg's office.
Go Al.
I just wanted to thank Miss Dwyer for letting us crash your office and her space because we were in there all the time and she dealt with us and we were probably really annoying because I was there like every day.
You guys are the best, and it's tutoring for tomorrow's couch. It's not, they bought it. You guys are the best.
The fourth period hangouts in Mr. Nuremberg's office are truly unparalleled.
It's when you couldn't stand being in activities anymore.
Got so hot in there.
Wow. Guys, before we end this, I don't know. Emily, I may not edit this at all. I just may let this go imperfectly perfect. You know, I think that's part of the secret of your college application process. I think that's the whole part of being in high school. I think accepting yourself as perfect with all your imperfections is probably one of the realizations you're going to be making through life forever. It's just a reality that we all have to learn. And I wish I could teach it. I wish I had the heart and the smarts that you guys have at 18, that I gained later in life. But being accepting of yourself and knowing that you are perfect with all your imperfections made you fantastic applicants and represent Palmetto with the greatest pride of all. We didn't cover everything tonight, but I think when we go back and play this over again, maybe in a couple segments, because it's a long evening, but I think you'll look back at this and I think the juniors and sophomores will learn from it. I think that you guys, I can't just say more than enough that you are amazing. If you didn't notice at the senior awards banquet, that word came out about 175 times. The teachers couldn't stop saying the word amazing. It is the word that I would use for your class, that you are strong, that you have gotten through a time that no other senior class has gotten through. And we are so proud of you, 100%. And it is the class we will, not only will you remember 2020, we will remember the class of 2020. And it's been an amazing run. And thank God for Zoom, because so I guess that's the end of our presentation. I'm going to run a little video at the end so that when you guys sign off, you can just sign off and say goodbye. If you want to say goodbye to each other, you can right now, but I'm going to be doing that. And thank you for coming to do this with me tonight. And thank you for whoever is watching this as we going into in the middle of our second hour of talking. And we did great. I think you guys did an unbelievable job all the way through for the 4 years. I will see you at Diploma Day. Okay, we'll see each other then. No hugs, but the hugs will be in our eyes because you can't see your face. So, all right, I love you guys, and you do know you are missed terribly. Love you all. And I'm going to switch to the video of this one. Thank you, guys. And if you're still watching at this point, I thank you enormously. I don't know how many segments of this you had to watch and how many segments. I don't know, if you watched it in 1 or 2 or 3 watchings, but the kids did an amazing job. Remember, normally this is in the auditorium and it's live, and we were going to cut it and edit it, but I think we're going to go back, and I think I'm just going to put it to you guys just the way we would have done it in the auditorium. I can't thank you enough for watching it. Juniors, I hope you learned something from it. Reach out to these children and these young people. They're experts in the field of the process of the applications. If you're an underclassman, know that there are lessons to learn that you can remember. This was a very interesting year, and we will miss these kids terribly, as you could tell. I think I said that enough times. So thank you for watching The Secret Sauce. And to quote Bo one more time, 40% perspiration, 30% inspiration, and 10% pure luck. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.